Hello everybody, Infinite Shinjo here, and welcome to episode 58 of Let's Talk Anime. So, it has been a while since I've recorded this, and I've touched on this in other videos, but essentially the flash drive that I kept every single bit of information on just doesn't work. So I had to re-find everything that I needed for my videos, and unfortunately, my original notes for this video was on that flash drive. So I did my best to recollect the notes and basically have them semi-coherent. So if there's stuff that I missed, then that's my bad. I initially watched these episodes and took the notes, so there might be things that I get wrong. But anyway, let's get into this with Kamen Rider Revice. My gosh, you guys really want me to watch Kamen Rider, don't you? Yeah, this is one that I watched a ways back. I can't remember exactly what the characters' names are. I think, if I'm not mistaken, one character is called Revice and one of them is called Vice. I know there's some play on the title of the show with that. But I'm just wondering, are stamps really that popular in Japan? Because the whole premise of the show is just you transform with the power of these stamps. Are stamps really a big thing in Japan, or is it just a random thing that they couldn't find anywhere else to put? I think just like the other Kamen Rider shows, I just can't get over how animated these people are. Granted, considering that they're up against other anime where characters can go off model a lot more, it makes sense that these actual real life people have to go over the top with their expressions, considering that they're up against other stuff that are actual anime. And another thing I did like is, it seems like every time I watch a new Kamen Rider, it gets better animation. Like, the transformations were actually really good. Granted, that all probably just comes with practice overall, but yeah. But the thing that I didn't like, now granted there's probably more that I can't think of for pros and cons, but the one thing I wrote down is, I'm assuming his name is Vice, the other dude, he's a mixed bag. Like, I like the character in some aspects, especially breaking the fourth wall. He kind of reminds me of I from Yu-Gi-Oh! Reigns, especially with the concept of everything, because obviously technology, Yu-Gi-Oh! Reigns, you can see the connection already. I don't think the main character is as stoic as Playmaker was. That's definitely hard to do. But contrasting against that, Vice is very much like I, where more of a joke character. As a matter of fact, for people that don't watch Yu-Gi-Oh!, you could argue the case that he's basically Deadpool. I don't know much about Deadpool, but I know he breaks the fourth wall, so that's essentially all you need to know. Vice is more of a joke character, and I don't know how I'm supposed to feel about that. I don't know if I'm supposed to take him seriously or if he's just here to break up tension. At the same time, I compared him to I from Yu-Gi-Oh! Reigns, and considering that I ended up being basically the final boss at the end of Yu-Gi-Oh! Reigns, I'm not sure how this is gonna go. At the same time, I'm not sure what I could even say about Kamen Rider Revice, because I didn't have enough time to rewatch the episodes again. So there might be specific things that I like that I can't remember about, but that essentially is everything that I wrote down. So which one is up next? Because I just threw these three pictures in here. Okay, next up is DressUp Darling. Perfect, it matches up with my notes. So, funny enough, before this was even suggested to me, I was tempted to watch this because obviously it's the new hit anime. It's done now, but it was the new hit anime, I should say. But yeah, my DressUp Darling, where do I even begin with this? First of all, I watched the dub. I don't normally specify if I watch the dub or the sub, but this time I watched the dub. And there is one huge reason for that. Marin Kitagawa. I don't know much about her performance in the original version, but in the dub, Amanda Lee, also known as Amalie, also known as Monarch the VTuber, is Marin Kitagawa. And her delivery on a lot of these lines is just excellent.
Come on!
it's weird seeing Amelie doing so many anime, considering that I remember watching her perform actual songs back on YouTube probably 5-6 years ago. I don't know how long it's actually been, but considering Amelie started doing that and then just gradually started going into more anime, Ai Hayasaka from Love is War, and now one of the main characters in this, that's just really cool to see. Of course, that's not to take away from Gojo's performance. I don't know Gojo's VA's name, but they do a good job as well. And another thing, I'm just throwing this out now, I'm sure there are references to actual anime in this show, like nice little nods to, hey, you watch this anime? Hey, you might get this reference. But there are some references I just didn't get. I'm sure there are references in there, and I'm sure there's a page describing them all, but I didn't look at it. As well, the message about just being proud and passionate about the stuff you like is just really good. Although there are times that I feel like it does kind of get pounded into the ground too much. Like, it's so on the nose you could literally see it from a mile away. But just the message overall is good. I just wish it wasn't so obvious in a way. The last thing that I liked is the character designs in the ED. I'm sure it's so obscure that people probably didn't even listen to the ED, but I just like the designs. They're a lot more chibi-fied in them, and I know a lot of anime go for more realistic character proportions when it comes to anime nowadays, but I would have loved just watching an anime based off of those designs alone, but that's just my personal opinion. And on to the cons. Now granted, it is a little bit of a mixed bag where they're not really stuff I didn't like, but they're just little nitpicks that I have, I guess to say. Overall, the show's good, but there are just some minor things I have issues with. So, the first one, and this is definitely the most out there for me, but ever since My DressUp Darling came out, I see so many people online saying, Marin Kitagawa's my new waifu, and I'm thinking, oh, that's pretty sweet. Marin's very attractive, okay. And then I look it up. She's 16 years old. I'm certainly hoping that I'm not the only one that finds issue with this. Especially with everything going on in the real world with pedophilia issues. It just kind of rubbed me the wrong way. Now, I'm not accusing anybody of this, but just the fact that there are so many people saying, Marin's my new waifu. She's literally underage. Now, granted, in Japan, it's probably not, but that's just one of those things that's just kind of weird for me. I might be an old fart for saying that, but, like, it just feels kind of weird for me. The other thing is, while I like Kitagawa's character, there are some things that I'm not sure about. Like, I love Amelie's performance, and I like Marin's goals about cosplay and stuff. There are just times that she's feeling a bit too pushy. Like, the biggest example that I wrote down here is episode 2. She just shows up at Gojo's house, just impromptu, hey, I'm here! And she literally just forces herself into Gojo's room. Now, granted, she does kind of redeem it later by saying, hey, we have to go by this book, we have to do all these blueprints and stuff, we have to get this stuff done. But, like, there are some times that she's feeling a bit too pushy. But that's just my personal opinion. Considering that I like characters that are a lot more shy, that probably says something more about me than her, but, you know. And the other thing that I didn't like is it's just a lot of mistranslations, I guess, to put it. There's probably a better word to describe it, but that's the word I'm thinking of right now. Like, all these issues in episode 2 where Marin's like, okay, let's measure my everything, and she starts taking off her clothes, and it's just like, Gojo's obviously flustered. She doesn't understand why, but, like, I might be in the odd camp to say, wouldn't all of this just be solved if they talk this over and say, hey, you're a girl, I'm a guy, isn't it kind of weird that we're just doing a lot of this stuff? But, like, granted, if it would just be as easy to do that, then the anime probably wouldn't be as long. But at the same time, if he would go out of his way to say all this stuff, then she might get flustered, things might get awkward, I don't know. At the same time, it probably goes back to what I said about earlier, where she just is in the mindset of getting this stuff done and that's it. So I don't know, just minor nitpicks on my part. And up finally, we have Orient. So I don't remember if I recorded a video discussing this season of anime, but I do remember really liking this, and I think I might have added it to my thing before people suggested it to me. I can't remember. But yeah, where do I even begin with this? It's historical, I guess. Like, it's definitely not in the 21st century, but I don't know. Typically, when it's like older stuff, like historical sort of anime, I'm not fond of it. So if this is down the same camp, I'm surprised at how well I actually do like it. And I'm pretty sure that the two main characters are based off of Musashi and Kojiro. Strange to think considering they share the same name. But like, if I'm not mistaken, there are Musashi and Kojiro. I'm pretty sure they're like two swordsmen or something in Japanese folklore. I'm not exactly sure what the exact thing is, but I just know that Jesse and James in Pokemon have the same names. Sure, I'm sure there's a reference there somewhere. That's just a really nice touch. The other thing that I liked is the character designs. Just one look at these character designs and the setting of it and everything, it just reminds me of Magi, and I love Magi so much. Granted, it could be things like the designs are just generally similar because it's a coincidence, or it could be the same studio. I'm not actually sure. I just love how these character designs look like they belong in Magi, especially with the ancient feel of the show. On that note, the premise of the show as well, very, very unique. Although it's kind of generic at the same time, it is a unique premise. Granted, I've only seen 2 episodes, so I'm not sure where they're gonna go from here, but really good so far. But that leads into the cons. The first one, and this might be just a nitpick on my part, why does it keep flashbacking so much? Like, I get you have to establish these characters, but we're literally in the middle of a fight with this big bad dude, and the one dude just jumps up to fight, and then we cut to flashback. We come back, fight for like 5 minutes, and then we cut to flashback. It just kind of takes me out of it. Granted, it's probably a more stylistic choice because it'd be easier than just throwing all the flashback in at once, but I don't know. It just seems kind of disjointed when the flashbacks come in every so often. The final thing, it's not necessarily a bad thing, but Musashi just seems like a generic shonen protagonist. And I don't even know if this is a shonen technically. But just the optimistic, go-getter, headstrong, just a generic shonen protagonist. And I hope that they develop him more outside of that. Because just a generic shonen protagonist is a dime a dozen anymore. But that is going to be it for this episode of Let's Talk Anime. Overall, all 3 of these were good. It all just depends on what I plan to continue watching. Obviously, I have other stuff to do, recording videos, a job, all this stuff. So some stuff might have to get cut, but you know, it's whatever. I at least talked about them for Let's Talk Anime. So if you enjoy, hit that like button down below. Subscribe if you haven't. If you have any suggestions for Let's Talk Anime, leave them down in the comment section as well. And I'll see you next time. Momentai.